Hey there, drone fans. Rick here again from Drone Valley. Today's clip is a review of the DJI Osmo Action charging kit. This is the perfect accessory for all you Osmo Action fans out there like me that may need to extend the recording time of your camera. Because even though the Osmo Action gives you about 2 hours of recording time on a fully charged battery, some days that's not enough. Maybe you're out shooting a hyperlapse, you're on vacation with the family, and you need to extend that recording time. Now, I've explained before that you can use an external battery bank, connect it up to the Osmo Action, and record a little bit longer, but then you got wires hanging off the front of you and battery stuffed down in your pockets, and I guarantee you're not going to get through the security gate at Disney looking like that. Plus, people are going to point at you and call you a nerd. So this kit takes care of all of that for you. You get 2 new batteries, you get 2 carrying cases that protect those batteries, and these are really clever. You get a really smart charging hub and a full instruction book that explains how to use all this gear. Now, as part of this review, I'd like to start with an unboxing, which I guess I just did, but I'll spend a few more minutes talking about it because there's a lot of clever stuff going on here. Then I'll take a closer look at all the components, explain how they work together, show you how to charge the batteries, what the indicators mean, all the cool stuff you need to know, and then I'll come back with some final conclusions at the end because it's not a cheap kit. It's about $69, so when you look at that, you're thinking, man, that's a lot of money. Do I really need this? I'll explain in the end why I think that's a good value. So let's get started with the unboxing. So as I mentioned, 2 batteries that come with it. What's really unique about the batteries is that unlike a lot of the other companies, the seal for the battery, the watertight seal, is actually on the battery. So you get this battery with a brand new rubber seal in the bottom of it. Again, exactly like the batteries that came out of your camera. There are 2 carrying cases for the batteries. These are super important to protect the batteries when you're traveling because, again, they're fragile. You could ding them, you could crack them, you could get dirt and debris in there. So put them inside the cases and you'll be safe when you're traveling with them. And then last, you're going to get a charging hub. Now, this is an intelligent charging hub that will look at all the batteries you pop in it. It'll determine which battery needs to be charged first based on which needs the least amount of charge. It'll charge that, move on to the next one. Now, in the next section, I'm going to show you if you use the right charger with that hub, you can actually charge 2 batteries simultaneously with the third one waiting to go next. Now, on average, it takes about 90 minutes to charge a battery. If you use this intelligent battery hub with the right charger, you can charge all 3 batteries in about 1 hour and 30 minutes. So it's a very, very quick process, and it charges them safely because it knows exactly how much current it's got to deliver to them. And you can also use it to check the levels of the battery. I'd mentioned the manual a minute ago. That's a complete manual that explains all the indicators and buttons and knobs. But again, I'm getting a little bit older and the print in that thing is tiny. So I got to get the magnifying glass out to read it. So stay tuned because I'd like to do a hands-on and show you how to use this gear just so you understand all the nooks and crannies of what's going on with the technology, but more importantly, they built some brilliant products, and this is a really, really smart charging hub. So I'll spend a few minutes explaining why I think these guys really nailed it with this one. So stay tuned for that. Now I'll take a little closer look at the Osmo Action charging kit and point out some of its cooler features. As I mentioned earlier, the kit includes a charging base, 2 protective cases for the batteries, and 2 batteries. Now let me open these up and get the batteries out so I can show you how the charging base works. I also think it was a really nice touch that DJI added these protective cases into the kit for the batteries because they could have sold these as extra accessories, but they're thinking about protecting these batteries. How do you transport these? How do you store them? And normally, if you just throw these in your pocket or you throw them in your backpack, you're going to pick up fuzz and debris and dirt on these contacts, and that'll damage the battery pretty quickly. More importantly, if you've got a dirty battery with debris on it and you slide it inside the camera, you're going to transfer all that debris to the contacts inside the camera, then you've got a bigger issue. So good on them for including these cases, but beyond that, somebody had to build this case. So somewhere in the factory at DJI, somebody had to build a case like this, and I like that they took it an extra step because it's a great little protective case. Looks like a tiny little suitcase that is going to protect your batteries from getting wet or dirty or getting crushed. But beyond that, if you look closely, and I like looking at details like this because it tells me a lot about the company, and you might have missed this, it's kind of an Easter egg, but down here on the bottom, you'll see 2 battery indicators. One's got stripes on it and one's empty. And what they're doing there is showing you the current charge level of the battery. So somebody had to think that through and say, you know what, when you put the battery away for the day and it's empty, put it this way with the connector down the bottom. And when you charge them during the day, put them back in the case this way. And that way you know immediately when you pop open the case, I've got a fully charged battery or I've got an empty battery. So when you're charging them, put them back in the case this way. When you've pulled it out of the camera and put it back in the case during the day, put it in here. And that way when you reach into your bag and you pull out a couple of these, when you pop them open, you'll know immediately, is the battery fully charged or is it one that needs to be charged? And that way you can put it right back in the case because otherwise you've got to put the battery in the camera, fire it up, and all those extra steps just take time. So good on them for including that. In addition, they built in a micro SD card holder up top. Now you may be thinking, I don't really need that. I don't carry extra micro SD cards with me. I tend to carry extra cards with me. I'll carry a couple of 32 and 64 gigs with me and I'll keep them in the case. So what I'll normally do is I'll empty the card when I get home. I'll charge up the battery, so I put the fresh battery and a fresh card in the case, and that way I know when I pull it out of my backpack, I've got a fresh card and a fresh battery. The reason I do that is because if you use a really big card, like 128 or 256, that's great because you can record for hours with it, but those micro SD cards can go bad, and I've had a couple of them go belly up on me, and I've lost an entire day of shooting. So I like, when I put a new battery in the camera, to pull out a fresh card, put it in the camera, and that way I know when I close this up, I've got all the footage I've recorded in there with the battery that needs to be recharged, but totally up to you if you want to do that. All right, so that's it for the cases. Now, as far as the base goes, you slide the batteries in like this, you'll feel them actually slip in and click down. Now, you can check the level of them by pushing this button over here. So I'll push it and hold it, and you'll see these flashing. Now, the number of flashes tells you how much of a charge the battery has. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3. Now, if it stays on solid, that means you're at 100%. If it flashes 4 times, it's between 75 and 100. The fact that it's flashing 3 times means that these batteries are between 50 and 75% charged. If it flashes once, you're down around 25%. If it doesn't flash at all, throw the battery out, you're done. But the number of flashes tell you exactly what kind of charge. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. So they need to be charged for sure. Actually, let me pull the one out of the camera too while I'm at it, and I'll add that to the group. All right, here we go. Just to see where that one's at. I think this one's a little bit more charged than the other two, but let's push it again and see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, so that one is above 75%. These are above 50%. So what I'll do now is charge it. Now, I want to warn you, and this is something some of the other reviewers have missed, the battery hub itself is intelligent. So it's got a USB-C connection on one side. It's got a button on front to actually check the level. It's got 4 little rubber feet on the bottom, which is a nice touch so it doesn't slip across the desk. But it's intelligent in that the unit itself will actually look at all the batteries that are in there, and it determines which of the batteries needs the least amount of charge, and it'll charge that one first. If you're using a better charger, so one that has a QC capability or it's a power delivery style charger, if it's got enough current, you can actually charge 2 batteries at a time. But if you're using an older charger or one that doesn't have a lot of current, maybe an amp, amp and a half, it'll only charge 1 battery, then move to the next, then move to the next. So let me show you what it looks like with a high power charger. I'll plug that in now. So the first thing it's going to do is check all the batteries. See the lights flashing? And it knows this one needs the least amount of charge. And it knows this one needs the next least amount of charge. And this one's in a holding pattern. So it's charging these 2 guys right away. Now watch what happens when I pull this guy out. It's checking both those batteries, and it says, okay, both of those guys need a charge, and I only have 2 batteries in it, so let's charge them both. Now watch what happens when I move the other end of this cable to a less powerful charger. They're all checking. It's checking all the batteries, and it knows this one needs the least amount of charge, but it's only charging that battery. These 2 guys are in a holding pattern. So it's critical that when you use this with your charger, you use a charger that has enough current that can actually charge 2 batteries at a time. Now this is totally fine too. If you're using an older charger, it's just going to take a lot longer to charge all those batteries. And from my experience, you can get all 3 of these batteries charged with a good charger in about an hour and a half. So if you want to go out there and invest in a good wall charger, get one that can do QC or PD, and you're going to be in really good shape. And that's pretty much all you need to know. I hope that section was helpful, and I tried to give you all the nerdy details you'll need to understand if the charging kit is right for you. Now for me, this is the perfect accessory. I use that Osmo Action pretty much every day. It's with me every time I leave the house, whether I'm traveling for my job or I'm out flying my quad or I'm on vacation. I love that camera. So having 2 extra batteries with me that are fully charged so I can extend my recording time just makes things a whole lot easier. And I know I can attach the power bank to it with a cable when I'm on a tripod, and that works great for time lapse and hyperlapse. But if I'm on vacation, I just want to pop a fresh battery in the camera and continue to record. But if you're only using that camera occasionally, this isn't a cheap kit. It's $69 for the whole kit. You might have to think, maybe I can get by with the battery I've got and just charge it in the camera and everything is fine. But if you're using that camera an awful lot, or you're going on vacation and you want to record extended periods of time, this kit makes a lot of sense. And I know $69 seems like a lot of money, and I'm not trying to justify it, but the 2 batteries are $22 each. So that's $44 of the kit, which means by my simple math, the hub and the 2 battery cases account for $25 of that cost. And when you think about this charging hub, $25 does not seem that expensive, especially when you compare it to a GoPro's charging. I think they have the hub and 1 battery for $50, and I think their battery's a little less expensive. So let's say the battery's $20. That means their hub's $30. So it's right in the same ballpark. So for me, again, I think it's a good value. It's well built. It does everything they say it's going to do. And I've used it for the last couple of weeks, and I'm telling you, it's just changed everything because I never have to worry about running out of battery power when I'm out recording on an afternoon. So that's pretty much all I had for today. Now, if you have any questions about anything I've covered, drop those in the comments below. I promise to get back to you as quickly as I can. We've been super busy reviewing a bunch of stuff, but I read every comment, and I promise I'll do my best best to answer all the questions that come in. If you have any interest in this kit, I've got a link below. It'll take you to the DJI site. You can check it out over there. I've also got a link below to our website, the Drone Valley website, because we have a lot of accessories for the Osmo Action and the Osmo Pocket. You want to support the channel, hit that link, go check that stuff out on our website. I just have a lot of fun putting these clips together, and I hope you guys are getting value out of them. If you are, I'll continue to do them, because man, I love this technology. So whatever I can do to buy something, test it, and then talk about it, I'm here to put the clip together. So that's pretty much it for today. Thanks an awful lot for watching, and until next time, happy flying.